President Biden will now allow Ukraine to strike inside Russia with long-range missiles. This marks a significant policy shift, and it comes after Biden officials condemned the North Korean deployment of troops to Russia as a possible expansion of the war.
At least 10 people have been killed in Ukraine in what is being described as the biggest Russian attack in several months. More than 200 drones and missiles were used to target Ukraine's energy infrastructure overnight, according to President Volodymyr Zelensky. Ukraine is now braced for more attacks on the power grid, with winter approaching.
Now to the new developments in the war in Ukraine. Overnight, Russia launching a massive drone attack targeting power plants across Ukraine. Ukraine says at least 5 people were killed. Many are without power as freezing temperatures grip the country. Hours after the attack, President Biden, for the first time, authorized Ukraine to strike deep inside Russia with long-range missiles supplied by the U.S. Now to the new developments.
In the updated version of the document, aggression against Russia by any non-nuclear state, but with the support of a nuclear state, is proposed to be considered as their joint attack on Russia. Russia will also consider the possibility of using nuclear weapons when receiving reliable information about a massive launch of means of aerospace attack and their crossing of our state border. This includes strategic and tactical aircraft, as well as cruise missiles and drones, hypersonic and other delivery vehicles. Russia reserves the right to use nuclear weapons in case of aggression, including if the enemy, using conventional weapons, poses a critical threat.
Israel, real news real quick. In an effort to escalate the war between Ukraine and Russia before he leaves office, President Joe Biden authorized Ukraine to use long-range U.S. missiles deep inside Russia. The use of these missiles will require direct involvement of U.S. military and NATO officials in the war. The Kremlin held an emergency meeting Sunday night. Russian President Vladimir Putin has said he'll use nuclear weapons against Ukraine if Kyiv attacks Moscow.
A lot of you are not going to like what I'm about to say, but somebody has to say it. The last 4 years under the Biden administration has been the most destructive years in American history. Biden said on national television a few days ago with President Trump and told him that this was going to be a peaceful transition. But yet, a few days after that interview, you gave Ukraine authorization to use U.S. military missiles in order to strike inside of Russia. I told y'all on my video a few days ago that side, the left, has been very quiet, and this is possibly why. So many prophets was coming out, y'all, before the election saying that they seen Kamala winning, that they did not see Trump in office, and this is possibly why. Although he was elected president, if the move that Biden just made put us in a situation where we will be seeing WW3, this is why those prophets seen what it is they were seeing, okay? So some of us...
Shut the fuck up. Everybody wants to be... Anyway, shalom, shalom. First thing and foremost, I want to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Bashimi, Hawashai, Bashim Kakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Noah's in his gospel abroad, lifting up the standard of Yahweh Bashimi, Hawashai, wherever it may be. This is just another lesson through the spirit. I was going through some clips here, and it says nations are at war, the third world coming quickly. Also, it says Biden just authorized Ukraine to use U.S.-led missiles to basically fire Russia or hit Russia, which for the last 2 years since the war in Ukraine began, if you notice, the Biden administration or NATO has basically been trying to recruit the Ukrainians, which Ukraine is an old province of Russia or the former USSR. Okay, that's technically still Russia's front yard. That's their territory. That's their province. But yet you had NATO, or you had particular sellouts of Ukraine that wanted to join NATO, which stands for National Atlantic Treaty Organization, which is a ploy that is set up by Esau Edom here in the West to be able to have Russia surrounded, so to speak, because basically Ukraine, you got to go through Ukraine in order to pretty much get within Russians' borders. Okay, which technically the Ukraine and Russia, same landmass, right? But technically, if the Ukrainians would have set up shop under NATO-led forces, which NATO was basically on alert during a Ukrainian war with Russia, Basically that's like they will have their forces right on their border, man. Okay, because America wants to avoid an all-out assault with Russia. But according to the scriptures, we understand that these nations are going to be swayed into the battle of World War III, which my personal opinion, I believe we're already in World War III, man. All right. It just haven't went nuclear yet because you have to have the prophecy of the RFID chip to manifest itself. But now we're seeing the tensions build up. Okay. Now you have this Jake here. And this is one thing I don't like about you people, man. You people, you want to come up. We've been saying this shit. Well, the apostles have been saying this going on 40 plus years, starting with the apostle Taharon down, high priest Ariah. He was prophesying about this particular event, World War III, all the way down to us brothers, man. We've been prophesying this thing going on 40 plus years. And all of a sudden, when Jake get a TikTok account, then all of a sudden that Jake just know all about the third wall, well, World War III. The Biden administration is destructive. We've been telling you dummies this for the last fucking 10 years, man. 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, 35 years. Now all of a sudden, now everybody is a scholar on World War III and biblical prophecy, man. But yet they would never give credit to the men who was out there laboring and putting their lives on the line to teach this word. Which she did make a mention of it. She said prophets have seen that Kamala still stand in office, and maybe this is what they were talking about. I don't know. Maybe she was alluding to the men of the Lord, because, I mean, we're very known at this point. Everybody knows about the Israelites. They see us week in and week out. They watch the videos or the shows, you know, come up to camps. Got brothers with Facebook accounts. Some brothers are on IG. Brothers be on TikTok. I mean, see, you can't deny it at this point, you know. But it says Biden is trying to stay in power by allowing Ukraine to use U.S. missiles against Russia. Now, if they declare a national emergency or a global emergency and they enact the powers to be, then, you know, there will possibly be no inauguration. But like I said, a lot can happen from up until this point, up until Donald Trump's inauguration, from assassination attempts to staged coups to civil unrest to the war escalating. Who knows, right? But the world is at war. And this is basically this has been a theme of this decade, is war. All right. So we believe through the spirit that hopefully this guy Trump comes and fully escalates World War III. Because see, what he's not realizing, even though him and Russia have some type of peace agreements, which nothing is really official among Esau. But the fact about it is, if BB goes in and he attacks Iran, which basically there's a retaliation coming, because I believe that Iran's nuclear facilities or something like that was hit. So they're gonna retaliate against the Israelis, and basically America is they're gonna have to get involved in this war, because eventually Russia is gonna get involved in it, because now that's a financial interest of Russia is Iran. So if they're being targeted by the small hats, then that's going to push the Russians in it. And then America, you're going to have to go to war with Russia. Okay, because you have to back the state of Israel. So, yeah, man, it's getting ready to get real. All right, so I got a quick precept real quick. This is the book of Revelation 11, and I'm going to start at verses 14. It says, the second woe is past, which is World War II, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. And as it tells us in Habakkuk, it's not tarrying, you see? So now, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, hey, all the puzzle pieces are in play. The nations are choosing their sides. You got the East versus the West. Okay, you got BRICS. Okay, you got NATO and the EU. Okay, which eventually they're going to turn their backs on America. But then even then, you got Turkey. I believe that's actually getting ready to join. I believe they're getting ready to join BRICS, if I'm not mistaken. I believe they have some type of partnership, because they wanted to succeed out of NATO for a long time. You know, even though they are still technically part of NATO, they don't really vibe with America, because they seeing that the way that these European nations are moving regarding the economic ties and the different coups. And basically they know that America is eventually going to plunge the war into war. And on top of that, you have an economic collapse that's destined to happen any day, which will, without a doubt, plunge the entire world into World War III, because once America's financial system collapsed, everything else collapsed around it, man. And that's for certainly that's war. So at this point, it's inevitable, all right? And when you go down the subcaption, it says the second trumpet, Yahweh's return or reign for a scene. All right. And it says here, and the second woe was past, and behold, the third woe coming quickly. And the seventh angel sounded, and there was great voices in heaven saying, the kingdom of this world are become the kingdom of our Lord and of his anointed, and he shall reign forever and ever. All right. So this is the time we on, or this is the time that we're entering into, because now North Korea, South Korea, you got Taiwan, China, Japan, Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Iran, okay, Syria, America. The major players are pretty much, I mean, it's the world stage is set to go to war, man. You know, so they're going to have to do something to bring back a draft, to get the recruitment numbers or whatever it may be, because, you know, America, they don't have the firepower, the manpower necessary to win this war, which scripture they're not going to win. All right. So anyway, let's play a little bit more of this, and then I got another video, and we'll get a couple more precepts, and that'll be that.
Might be owing them an apology. All I'm going to say after this is, Joe, you did it. You finally did it, Joe.
The United States never fights anybody who can fight back. We're cowards. So, yeah, America's moral authority hasn't existed for decades with the policy of the United States over the last few decades, and that would be to completely destroy the Middle East. Donald Trump is owned by the very same interests that own the U.S. Congress, and the policies are to continue to destroy the Middle East.
Right, the small hat. So all that peace and safety that Trump is talking about, sudden destruction, all right? He's talking about, I'm going to put an end to World War III. How you going to put an end to World War III and that ain't what your elites want? Okay, like this Edomite dude is saying, he's saying, look, they want to destroy the East. They want to take over, all right? They want to set up particular passageways throughout the Middle East to control the narrative out there, to control the central banks, to control the resources coming in. You know, Esau wants it all. All right. And them small hats, they want to make an ethnic cleansing of anybody that dwells in that land. So regardless of it, they're going to war.
From that, the United States never fights anybody who can fight back. We're cowards. We don't pick on people who can fight back. There is a very big misunderstanding amongst the people of the world who don't have psychopathic, sociopathic qualities. See, for those of us who have any level of humanity, we don't want war. But there's a big problem. Those who are in charge actually have a major incentive to have war. Now, the bankers who run the world, literally by having an infinite supply of money, while us dupes allow ourselves to pay interest, we are continuing to flirt with a third world war. It seemed that people in World War II realized, especially with Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Yeah, and, you know, ultimately a lot of these wars were being funded by basically taxpayer dollars, man. Okay, like when you go back into the time when they established the Fed back in 1913, and then shortly after World War I commenced, like around, 1918, if I'm not mistaken, 1917, something to that degree. But even then, they wasn't really financing war. They was talking about, well, they couldn't go to war because they didn't have the money. But no, they was financing this money. They was financing war through taxpaying citizens, you know, through these particular grants and shit that they got. You know, that's why they say all wars are bankers' wars. And basically who profits the most is the one who overcomes, man, which is the elites. So it's a wealth grab. All right. While people are suffering and dying, the elites are getting richer. You know, so another thing, too, when they established the Fed, they came with the concept that you can print as much money as you want and then, you know, make this a global currency. Then there's no amount of money you can't print. And so print $1 trillion and say, hey, fuck it, let's go to war, and how the citizens pay for it. You know, because that shit costs money. War ain't free. You see?
That we could not do this a third time. But apparently we've been cast under another spell and seem to forget that we do have the capacity to destroy this planet. Now, those of us who have any kind of sanity and humanity realize the dangers of this, but those who are running the world through the control of finance have a major incentive to incite war, because more important than the money that they control is the most important parameter of a tyrannical system, a tiny minority ruling over the masses. And that principle is you will never be able to rule people if you cannot divide them. So you must divide them. What divides people more than anything else? War, mass murder, horrendous crimes, torture. Things like that are good in the view of a banker. So
this is not democracy. This is a game. And it's a game of narrative. Why did the U.S. invade Iraq in 2003? Well, first of all, it was completely phony pretenses. It wasn't, oh, we were so wrong, they didn't have weapons of mass destruction. They actually did focus groups in the fall of 2002 to find out what would sell that war to the American people. Abe Schultzky, if you want to know the name of the PR genius. They did focus groups on the war. They wanted the war all the time. They had to figure out how to sell the war to the American people, how to scare the shit out of the American people. It was a phony war. Where did that war come from? You know what? It's quite surprising. That war came from Netanyahu, actually. You know that? It's weird. And the way it is that Netanyahu had from 1995 onward the theory that the only way we're going to get rid of Hamas and Hezbollah is by toppling the governments that support them. That's Iraq, Syria, and Iran. And the guy's nothing if not obsessive. And he's still trying to get us to fight Iran this day.
Yep. You know, going back and saying I'm a demon Jad, this is why he said that he would blow their ass off the map, man, back in 2006. See, that's why the scriptures say that the least of the flock should draw them out, because like we said, man, everything points back to Amalek. He's the reason why the nations are fucking at odds now. But overall, it's really Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. So it's beautiful, man. All right. We almost home, to say the least. So let me play this video.
Have you heard about the Suboxone film lawsuits? Despite FDA warnings and growing evidence, many were never informed.
Biden, his administration. This fucking devil always trying to sell you something, bro. No matter, like, every commercial you see. And it dawned on me last night, every commercial you see, he's trying to sell you something. Whether it's a prescription, subscription, whether it's a vehicle, whether it's a makeup, whether he sell this man sells you that's all a commercial is. When you go into commercial, the root word of commercial is commerce. Okay? So when you think of commerce, you think of logistics, you think of sales, you think of anything that's dealing with finance, man. You know, commerce is what makes the world go around. So it makes sense in order to keep his commerce or his sales pitch, he sells you all this bullshit, man. I mean, literally, you watching a football game, every commercial on there, he'll say, oh, it's a fucking Big Mac. He's advertising. You know how much money they spent in marketing and advertising just to sell you some shit? Even YouTube. You know, but that's to constantly keep the people asleep and indulge in darkness, man. You know? But anyway, let's play a couple of minutes of this, and I got a couple of precepts, and then we'll end it.
3 right before he leaves. Take a look at the latest headlines with me, and let's see what they're saying. World War III coming. Biden's weapon ban lift on Ukraine sparks major concerns. This coming out today, November the 18th, 2024. And take a look at all the headlines coming out today. Biden lets Ukraine use long-range missiles to hit deep inside of Russia just weeks before Trump takes office. And we had heard them say, Putin saying, if the United States allowed this would lead to nuclear war and World War III, and specifically calling out the United States. Biden authorizes Ukraine to strike Russia with U.S.-supplied long-range missiles. We had heard Putin say whatever nation supplies these weapons, they will be at war with Russia. Russian lawmakers raises bogey of World War III after Biden allows use of long-range U.S. missiles by Ukraine. U.S. military-industrial complex seeks to unleash World War III, Donald Trump Jr. says. Donald Trump Jr. claims that Biden, his administration, is trying to cause World War III before Trump's inauguration. Charlie Kirk today, Biden is trying to start World War III. This is a pathological and totally insane. U.S. weaponry should not be used to fire into the interior of Russia. Imagine if Russia supplied missiles to fire into America. Trump allies react to Biden allowing Ukraine to hit Russia with U.S. ATACMS. And you guys, we are hearing that there is major concern coming out today, November the 17th, 2024, that President Joe Biden is starting World War III. You saw the headlines, the claims. I'm going to be sharing with you the latest coming out on this today, Sunday, November the 17th, as we're hearing that things are escalating. And as I let you know, we've been following this for quite some time, the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Russia had clearly stated that if the United States or NATO approves the use of long-range missiles into Russia, that this will be war directly with whatever nation approves this and allows it, and the nation that supplies the missiles. And in this case, it is all the United States. Today, Joe Biden has made a major policy shift, which people are saying is directing us right into the beginnings of World War III. And they're asking the question, why is he doing this? Why is it right?
Okay, there you go. So, hey, we there. It started, matter of fact, let me do this. Psalms 94, 20. No, Slovakia, not that. Psalms 140. Let me do this instead. Speed up the process. Psalms 140, and I'm going to start at verses 1. It says, "Deliver me, O Yahweh, from the evil man. Preserve me which from the violent man, which imagine mischiefs, and their heart continually they are together to." It says, "Their heart continually they are gathered together for war." Okay? Constantly, since Esau has been a nation, he's been in war. 80%, 90% of it. Since America's inception, they've been in war. Since the Civil War, the Civil War, the Cold War, the fucking the War on Terror, fucking World War I, World War II, Gulf War, all right, the what you call it, the fucking the Spanish American War, you know what I'm saying, the French Revolution. I mean, it's been nothing more but war and chaos under Esau's rulership, you know, because that's what he was created. He's the sword, man. And it says here, "They have sharpened their tongues like a serpent, adders poisonous under their lips. But keep me, O Yahweh, from the hands of the wicked. Preserve me from the violent men who are purposed to overthrow my goings," man. And all this is to really set up a NWO, a New World Order. Okay? And to fully put a full end to our nation. All right? Because if he can't have Jake as a slave, then he don't want us at all. Isaiah 34:1. "Come near, ye nations, and to hear, and so hearken, ye people. Let the earth hear and all that is written," or Salakia. Let me read that again. My mind's moving too fast. It says, "Come near, ye nations, to hear, and hearken, ye people. Let the earth hear and all that is therein, the world and all the things that come forth of it." And right now, like I mentioned, there's nothing but war talks in the news. Every station you go on, Ukraine and Russia, Ukraine and Russia. Even though they're selling it to you, but Ukraine and Russia, Ukraine and Russia. Israel, Iran. Syria, such and such, North Korea, America. And it says, "For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations, and his fury upon their armies." It says he had utterly destroyed them, and he have delivered them to the slaughter. Yeah, this third world's war. When you go into the book of Joel, the 3rd chapter, it says how the Most High gathered all the nations down to the valley of Jehoshaphat. And it says here, "And their slain should be cast out, and their stink should come up out of their carcasses, and the mountain should be melted with their blood. And all the hosts of heaven should be dissolved, and the heavens should be rolled together as a scroll, and all their hosts shall fall down, as the leaves falleth from the vine, and as a falling fig from the tree," which is basically describing a nuclear detonation. Okay, the mushroom cloud is what Isaiah sees here in the vision. It says, for my sword should be bathed in heaven. And that's talking about the nuclear missiles. And it should come down upon Idumea, which you Edomites, upon the people whom I curse of judgment. All right, and that's getting ready to happen. The Lord is getting ready to judge you Edomites, man, once and for all. All right, Revelation, what's this? I think it's Revelation. Is it 9? Yep. Revelation 9, and I'm gonna start at verses 13. It says, and the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar which is before the Most High, saying to the sixth angel which had the trumpet, loose the four angels which are bound by the great river Euphrates. And the four angels were loose, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year, for to slay a third part of men. And that's talking about you Edomites, man. But this war is going to happen at an appointed time. Okay, because it says here, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year. Whenever that may be, that's where Yahweh Shai purpose in his own power, for to slay a third part of men. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, which talking about the missiles. And I heard the number of them, and thus I saw the horses in a vision, and them that sat on them having breastplates of fire and of jacinth and of brimstone. And the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouth issued fire, smoke, and brimstone, which is talking about the missiles. And by these three was the third part of men killed, by the fire, and by the smoke, and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouths. For the power is in their mouth and their tails. And their tails are like unto serpents, because when you look at a nuclear detonation or a missile leaving out of the silo, the fire behind it slithers like a serpent. All right. And it says, and had heads, which is talking about the warheads, and with them they do hurt. All right. So, yeah, man, World War III is inevitable. Hey, brothers, just a matter of time, man. So call Allah Yahweh Shai. Lord's will, you will edify. To the next lesson. Shalom.